There are plants with underground fruits or underground flowering, but only two types of plants have ever been found with both, and one was just reported in 2023. The island of Borneo is split between three countries. In the deep rainforest, there are over 300 species of palms. In Sarawak, Malaysia, and Kalimantan, Indonesia, there is one palm species which has its flowers and fruits underground. Though it has a fruit which is enjoyed by locals, it was overlooked by researchers until just recently. Dr. Paul P.K. Chai, an author on local medicinal plants, and has been called Sarawak's first local botanist, reportedly saw the plant in 1997 in Lanjak Entimau, a strict conservation sanctuary on the island. While he was brushing aside the thick leaf litter surrounding a young palm to take a better picture of it, he noticed the fruit that had been revealed. In 2017, Agusti Randi, an Indonesian researcher, began looking into the plant. The first time I encountered this dwarf palm in 2017, in a forest in West Kalimantan, a group of wild boars were digging in the soil. I found several ripe fruits with a striking, bright red color lying on the ground. I noticed that a lot of the soil around the stems of this palm were dug up by the wild boars to find the fruit that was underground. Their feces were also strewn around in puddles with the seeds contained in them. A team from Kew Gardens went to Lanjak Entimau in November 2018 with 6 days to make an inventory of all the palm species that they could find. They visited the Naga Talong Longhouse and continued taking boats deeper to this ranger station. Dr. Benedict Kundhauser from the Kew Gardens team says, "Without the tip-off from our Malaysian colleague Dr. Paul Chai, we probably would have mistaken this exciting new species for another unremarkable palm seedling and would have walked right past it." In their 2020 trip report, the new species subterranea makes an early appearance. I just think this is interesting because they're hinting that they have a new species, but don't outright say it. Despite demonstrating clear affinities with the type of Pinanga brevipe, the form that occurs around the ranger station seemed altogether smaller and with broader leaflets. They also have these two images. Their 2023 paper united the Indonesian, Malaysian, and visiting scientists in announcing the species. The wild boar are an unusual but helpful way to disperse seeds from the underground fruit to new locations in the jungle. The flowers are believed to be pollinated by insects, probably beetles, on the forest floor, but the paper calls for more field research to confirm. You might wonder, is this fruit tasty? They say it has a soft and juicy texture and a predominantly sweet taste. The flesh is chewed and the hard seeds spat out. This plant is known by a few names: Muring Palandok, Pinang Tanah, Pinang Pipit, and Tudong Palandok. I know there are some Southeast Asian subscribers to the channel, so if you ate this fruit in central Kalimantan before or after it was discovered, please leave a comment. The only other known plants with underground flowers and fruit were found almost 100 years earlier in Australia, where there are at least 5 species of underground orchids in a genus named Rhizanthella. Some species have been found on the west coast and others on the east coast. The orchids grow in a specific soil, covered with a centimetre of leaf litter or soil. The first found in Western Australia by farmer John Trott in 1928. He is described as super observant. A few more of Rhizanthella have been discovered in Western Australia over the years, but they appear to be rare. The plant has a parasitic relationship with a fungus, instead of photosynthesis. And modern genetic studies have shown it no longer has the genetics typical of most plants. This was quickly recognized as an oddity by naturalists of the time, who shared images of cross-sections and of the fungus collected on its roots. It's long been debated how these orchids survive, pollinate, and spread their seeds. There's been some progress on this since these orchids were grown in the lab for the first time in the 1980s, but if you look on Wikipedia, it'll tell you that they don't know how they pollinate. A PhD thesis in 2025 used video cameras to record all the pollinating species that visited the orchids. On the opposite side of Australia, a second species was found in New South Wales in 1932 by Ernest Slater while he was looking for other orchids. This orchid species would go missing for 70 more years until it was rediscovered by a 13-year-old boy also in Bulahdelah.
The eastern underground orchid is one of the country's most bizarre plants, and one that's so scarce it's forced a major highway to be rerouted.
Thanks to that earlier discovery, Around 2008, there was a successful relocation of the orchids,
bringing them back here to the CSIRO in Canberra.
While we were excavating these plants, which took about 2 days, we actually had to work on it very carefully. We had the bulldozers working nearby, actually clearing the footprint.
The researchers working on replanting suggested that the plants were pollinated by flies and their seeds spread by bandicoots. All of these fortuitous discoveries lead scientists to believe that the genus may not be extremely rare, just rarely found. In the 2000s, there were 2 other species of Rhizanthella identified. One was collected in 1958, but only described as a separate species in 2006, and Rhizanthella speciosa was collected in 2020, and that's the only known example of the species. As of 2025, there was a report that the population in Western Australia had collapsed, leading researchers to try replanting them in labs with their symbiotic species. Knowing these examples from Borneo and Australia, could there be many more strange plants living under our feet? Researchers found the first underground pitcher plant in 2022, type of carnivorous insect trapping plant, also in Borneo. Following the example of the palm, scientists are looking into indigenous peoples and their knowledge and their languages for hints of new species. Thanks for watching. If you're looking forward to more science and history videos, be sure to like and subscribe. This channel got started just a few months ago, so every bit helps.